A side story that may be the central one. It is possible there is some big unforetold evolution going on within the Republican Party, and more suddenly than anyone would have expected. Mr. Trump is bringing Democrats in. For more on this, let's ask Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, presidential candidate in 2012, also a Fox News contributor. Peggy Noonan went on to write that the Republicans are either going to have to evolve or the party is going to break down. How do you see it, Newt?
Well, I think Peggy has a real point there. It's clear that Barack Obama has driven an amazing number of people away from the Democratic Party. Look at the state of West Virginia, which was historically very Democrat. Now, for the first time, I think, in 90 years, has a Republican state legislature. All sorts of things are happening across the country. There are more Republican state legislators today than any time in the history of the Republican Party going back to its founding in 1854. So things are happening that are far beyond Donald Trump. In addition, you have in Trump somebody who is bringing in independents and Democrats. I find it ironic that people who don't want Trump say, luckily a number of the upcoming primaries are closed, meaning only Republicans can vote on them. Think about this. They're basically saying, we don't want to let Democrats and independents into our party. Now, how do you grow a majority party if you say to the Democrats and independents, we don't want you? And Trump is doing more than anyone since Ronald Reagan to bring in a new generation of voters who are saying, you know, I like what he's saying about American nationalism. I like what he's saying about controlling the border. I like what he's saying about taking on Washington. I think, of course, if you're a Washington establishment type, all that stuff scares you to death. And that's why you see these constant ripples as they try to find a change. But I think the Senate Republicans have been wavering between disliking Cruz and fearing Trump. And you got a lot of folks out there who just wish it would all go away. But in the end, we're going to have a nominee. We'll learn a little bit more about that in Arizona and Utah next week. And in the end, that nominee is going to be the only practical alternative to Hillary Clinton and a very, very left-wing Supreme Court, and controlled by union bosses through the government unions that are supporting Hillary. So I suspect almost all Republicans will come back together no matter who we nominate when this is all over.
The famous, National Review issue with all of those pundits writing about the case against Donald Trump. They said he's not a conservative. Does that matter to Republicans?
Well, Trump is not a traditional conservative. Trump is an anti-establishment businessman who has concluded that the welfare state doesn't work, that bureaucracy doesn't work, that political correctness is stupid, and that American interest as a nation deserve to be protected. Now, that makes him, I think, the natural ally of conservatism, but he's not a traditional automatic conservative, and nobody ought to try to explain him that way. He is a very anti-left, very anti-stupidity, which means bureaucracy, and I think very much of an American nationalist. And Trump has done something nobody's ever done. He came out of nowhere politically, had a lot of national name ID because of The Apprentice and books and other things, but he basically came out of nowhere politically on June 16th and has been the front runner ever since. Nobody has ever done that before, and it's an amazing achievement. So I think we're actually lucky. We have two really smart people who are fighting it out to get to the convention. I think that's healthy for the Republican Party. That Trump, for example, is talking with both Mitch McConnell and with Paul Ryan. I think that's a step towards collaboration next year. And I think, frankly, that you're going to see in the process over the next few months that Reince Priebus and the Republican National Committee hold things together, get us to a convention that really matters, and have laid the base for a very successful campaign this fall. So I think things can come together. But the biggest difference between what I did with Bill Clinton and cooperating and what's happened recently is named Barack Obama. I don't think if I'd been Speaker when he was President, we'd have gotten very much done.